I'm a street child. I'm a runaway little girl at 15 years old out of Kentucky named Kathleen Maddox.
Whatever is necessary to do, you do it.
Victims died in the worst way.
He was a very powerful person. When he said jump, they jumped.
I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. You do exactly what I said.
The troubled origins. In the annals of criminal history, few names elicit the same mix of morbid fascination and bone-chilling dread as Charles Manson. But who exactly was this enigmatic figure? And what dark forces propelled him to orchestrate one of the most infamous murder sprees in history? Born Charles Mills Maddox on November 12, 1934 in Cincinnati, Ohio, his early years were steeped in instability and turmoil. Raised by a teenage mother who battled alcoholism and worked in the adult trade as an escort.
She was very, very motherly looking. She was as motherly looking as my mother was.
My mother went to prison for 5 years for strong-arm robbery. Her brother had to deal a trick in off the street and put the yoke on him to get some money to eat.
Manson's childhood was marked by neglect and abandonment, with his father absent.
Disowned at birth pretty much, raised by relatives.
He grew up in some very tight situation.
Manson found himself shuttled between relatives and juvenile institutions, never finding the stability or nurturing environment he desperately craved. Manson's early criminality.
From an early age, he was left to his own devices, got involved in delinquent/criminal activities.
By the tender age of 12, Manson was already adrift, living on the streets and surviving through petty theft and other minor criminal activities. His brushes with the law became more frequent as he delved deeper into a life of crime.
There was heaps of potential there, but something had happened early in life, and this dogged him the whole time. He felt he'd been dealt a bad hand.
It was a path that seemed destined for prison, a place where Manson would spend much of his life. Yet amidst the bleakness of incarceration, Manson found an unexpected solace in music. He learned to play the guitar and discovered a talent for songwriting.
What he was doing, which is quite revolutionary for the time, and also from his observations of human nature.
It was a glimmer of light in an otherwise dark existence, a fleeting taste of creative expression amid the monotony of prison life.
There's a time for living.
The yard, I heard this guy playing the guitar and singing. He sounded a little like Frankie Lane at the time. I thought the guy was pretty good.
Released in 1967, Manson emerged into a world in the throes of cultural upheaval.
And then all of a sudden, this wonderful subculture erupted, and we all became free.
The Summer of Love, a social phenomenon encompassing hippie music, hard drugs, anti-war sentiment, and free love, converged in San Francisco's neighborhood of Haight-Ashbury, had come and gone.
1967 was totally crazy. The streets were jammed, people were taking LSD and dancing and music everywhere.
Leaving behind a legacy of countercultural rebellion and experimentation. It was against this backdrop that Manson found fertile ground for his twisted vision. The Manson Family.
We did a survey of the thousands of kids that came through our clinic, and 98% of them had used LSD.
Enter the Manson Family, a motley crew of impressionable young men and women drawn to Manson's magnetic charisma and apocalyptic rhetoric. Fueled by a cocktail of drugs and delusions, Manson spun a web of manipulation and control, fashioning himself into a messianic figure with a cult-like following. His targets? Emotionally insecure, social outcasts, mostly women, by establishing himself as a guru in Haight-Ashbury.
You're taught that you can't. They even teach you the word. They give you the words. Take all the words away. And don't think in right and wrong, just think in truth.
Sneakily giving them full doses of half drugs, while he himself only took half, so that he would remain in control when they were extremely high and susceptible to suggestion. requiring his followers to mimic his every physical move and facial expression, breaking down their physical inhibitions thoroughly with group orgies lovemaking. He would also use an old cult programming technique by isolating his followers from society to the desert where he could control their entire waking experience.
When I got out, all your children would come to me because they never had anybody to tell them the truth.
He sized up people, I think, fairly quickly and fairly accurately. I think that's a skill you learn in prisons.
He said, so your father just kicked you out of the house. And that started it.
He would demonstrate sudden and unexpected violence, hitting his women in the face if they asked a question he thought inappropriate. He would convince his young followers that their parents never truly loved them, were only brainwashing them with materialistic and futile beliefs.
We talked on a number of levels. His mind intrigued me.
Charlie was what he needed to be at any given time.
Living at the beach with my sister, and she came home and said to go down to a friend's house, which I did, and Charlie was there, and he was playing the guitar. And so I was introduced to him there. And that night, we slept together.
Then he would proffer himself as the new father they never had.
He was able to assume a fatherly role with her, which is a template for what went on with the other girls.
He would have his followers endlessly sing the bizarre songs he wrote. He would convince them that they needed to follow him for protection from the supposedly imminent race war that was about to come down. He would confiscate all his followers' belongings and money and monitor their whereabouts constantly so they couldn't leave the family. He would have them perform illegal and violent acts.
They said to him, Charlie, it's brilliant. We love it. We'll be in touch. He believed they meant it.
Telling them that really in the cosmos, there is no right or wrong. Good is bad. Death is life. Love is violence, etc. Their sanctuary was a ramshackle ranch in the California desert where they retreated from mainstream society to enact Manson's deranged fantasies. It was a world governed by his warped interpretation of the Beatles' Helter Skelter, a song he believed foretold an imminent race fight that would engulf the world in chaos. But it was not mere rhetoric. In the sweltering heat of August 1969, Manson's warped vision descended into madness. Armed with knives and fueled by drugs, his followers carried out a series of brutal murders that sent shockwaves through the nation. The most infamous of these atrocities was the slaughter at 10050 Cielo Drive, a sprawling estate nestled in the hills above Los Angeles. It was here that actress Sharon Tate, 8 months pregnant and full of hope for the future, met her gruesome fate at the hands of Manson's disciples.
I would love to have her here. Sharon was my big sister. Do I miss her? Yes. Would I like her here? Yes.
I went inside and I discovered Sharon Tate and Jay Sebring. Sharon was terribly stabbed, and they were tied together with a rope which was tossed over a rafter in the house. I continued on through the back door and I found Abigail Folger.
But the bloodlust did not end there. Over the course of 2 consecutive nights, Manson's followers struck again, leaving a trail of carnage in their wake. The victims, wealthy businessman Lino LaBianca and his wife Rosemary, were chosen at random, their passing away serving as macabre punctuation marks in Manson's twisted narrative of racial Armageddon. Trial and sentencing. The ensuing trial was a spectacle unlike any other, a grim theater of the absurd where Manson played the role of a charismatic but unhinged puppet master.
Charlie had family members up here on the hill watching the cops watch us. Yeah. So we were all watching each other. It was all fun. Considered it fun.
We eventually arrested Charlie, a couple of his female friends, and we took him to Malibu Sheriff Station and booked him.
His followers, dubbed the Manson Family, sat in rapt attention, their devotion to their leader unshakable, even in the face of overwhelming evidence of his guilt. Convicted in 1971, Manson was sentenced to demise, a verdict that was later commuted to life imprisonment following the abolition of the demise penalty in California. Yet, even behind bars, Manson remained a potent symbol of humanity's capacity for evil, his name synonymous with the darkest depths of depravity. In the years that followed, Manson's infamy only grew, fueled by a steady stream of books, documentaries, and films that sought to unravel the mysteries of his twisted psyche.
People were questioning Manson's ability to be this self-proclaimed messiah.
Yet for all the scrutiny and speculation, the enigma of Charles Manson endures, a chilling reminder of the fragility of the human mind and the seductive allure of absolute power. Even in demise, Manson's legacy remains a cautionary tale, a stark warning of the dangers posed by those who would exploit the vulnerabilities of others for their own twisted ends. And as the years pass and his crimes fade into memory, one can only wonder what dark corners of the human soul gave rise to such unfathomable evil.
Pain's not bad, it's good. Oh, I don't know pain. I don't know pain. I have no depth of pain. I have no depth of suffering. I don't know ridicule.
If someone beats you with a whip and you love the whip, what's he doing? He's making a fool out of himself. It's heaven right here, Jack, right here.
Signing off for now. Tune in next time for another riveting episode.